Daniel Hill 11.1, part 3. This is the energy balance and energy one. So energy we get from food, and main sources of the energy are like carbohydrates and other sugars like that. So simple and complex. Then fats, it's like the backup from the carbohydrates, and then rarely protein. We don't really get it from protein, but occasionally we might. So basically, we get energy from breaking down food into ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. So that's how we use the energy, is through ATP. So it's like, obviously ATP is like the currency of for energy for bodies to use. We use like ATP and energy just for anything really, like getting out of bed, walking, just doing anything. And our muscles need ATP to contract and to be used for every single movement we do. Then so everything we do needs energy. Even like involuntary muscles, like every muscle in our body needs energy to work. Then so to make sure, it's important like to know how much energy we consume compared to like how much we burn. It's like the energy balance. So if we want to, if we haven't consumed enough or we've consumed too much calories, we could get like tired, lethargic. And then lethargic and tired. And then if we eat too much, we again feel tired. A bodybuilder will eat a lot of protein, and bodybuilder will eat a lot of protein in their diet to obviously gain muscle. And they obviously, because they need to bulk, they can take in more calories, and do, because they're doing a lot of exercises as well to try and bulk up, so they need a lot more calories than the average person would. And then, so calories and kilocalories. So a calorie is just a measure of energy. It's worked out by, so it's like a gram will heat, a gram of calorie will like heat up on a gram of water by 1 degrees. And then, so it's just a way of putting like the energy into numbers. So for different foods, there's different numbers of calories in each food, just to put a number on it. So, like say I had 100 gram, like 100, no 200, like anything, just like say I had like a kilogram of crisps, and they were like I don't know, like 890 grams of calories, like 890 like calories or something like that. It would take like it would it was like it would take you that amount of grams of water to heat it all up by 1 degree, if that makes sense. But they're like mentioning kilocalories as well, which equates to 1 kilocalorie being 1,000 calories. And every day we eat around, I think the average for a male is 2,500, and then women's obviously lower, so it's 2,000. And then obviously it varies between the amount of exercise done and how amount of exercise you do and just your lifestyle, really how stressful it is and all that. And joules and kilojoules. So joules is also another measure of energy, but it's different from, because obviously calories was heat up by a gram of water. This is like the amount of energy exerted by movement of 1 meter. So 1 joule would be able to move 1 newton of mass by 1 meter. So it works in those like metric sort of thing. So in a calorie, there's about 4 joules. Joules, they can be measured into kilojoules again, and the 1 kilojoule is obviously 1,000 joules. In a day, if we work out, because if it's 4 joules a calorie, that means it would be 10,000 joules a day for. It would be 10,000 joules a day for men to put on, and then 8,000 joules of energy for women to put on a day. And then fats, we can get fats from a lot of different food, such as meats, nuts, butter. In a gram of fat, there's 9 calories, which is the most calorie-rich macronutrient. Fats are burnt most in low intensity, so like walking burn more fats off, rather than if you were to jog, it would be burning more of the calories off. No, not carbohydrates off. And then so lower intensity, more fats you burn off. And then for carbs, it's there's 2 different sort of carbs. There's simple and complex. Complex are found in more like pastas and breads, cereal, grains, stuff like that. They release gradually over a period of time. So better for medium, long distance runners, such as marathon runner or something. And then simple carbs are faster releasing carbs, so they're often found in just glucose, sugar. They're also found in like refined sugars, which are like sweets, chocolates and stuff. They're best for short distance events because they're fast releasing energy, don't last long. So it's like a 100-meter sprinter. Both carbs are used throughout the entirety of exercises. They're suitable, obviously. And then they're obviously burnt to give us that short burst or long burst of energy. So they're burnt over a period, like the complex will be burnt over a period of time to give us energy over that long period of time, while the shorter, simple carbs will then be burnt down in a short period of time for the quick burst of energy. Then proteins, they're good for growth and muscle repair. So they're often used by like bodybuilders or for repairing muscles. So after say doing an event where you've done a lot of running or something like that, you need to intake a lot of proteins to try and repair the muscles. So yeah, weightlifters obviously use a lot of protein in their diet. And then good sources of protein are nuts, eggs, and some meats like steaks, stuff like that. They're good sources of protein. And then where was I? Nuts, meats, like so obviously people that don't eat much protein won't have much muscle mass, and then and if they don't eat enough of other foods like carbs and fats, then they'll have to burn the proteins off to get the energy, which isn't good because obviously proteins are really helpful for not only muscle growth and repair, but they're essential for our bodies because obviously the amino acids and all that. Proteins are everywhere in our blood cells, everything, so they're vital for us for other factors rather than just for energy. So they're kind of wasted on energy because you could have carbohydrates, fats, other things that aren't as necessary in your diet to use for energy. And then, so body composition. Body composition is like your body shape and like somatotypes. So somatotypes is what you're born with. So there's three somatotypes: mesomorph, endomorph, and ectomorph. So mesomorph's like a triangle. So you got like that. So upper body's quite big, it goes down narrow in the middle. People that put on like more muscle naturally, while endomorphs put on more fat naturally, and ectomorphs are quite skinny naturally. So mesomorphs, characteristics of mesomorphs like low percentage of fat and high percentage of muscle. Somatotype, like you're born with them, like I said, so you can't change your somatotype, but you can change your body shape and body composition. So obviously, like the somatotype will affect your body shape and body composition because obviously you're gonna struggle if you're like an endomorph. You're gonna be putting fat on easier than you would to lose fat. So to be able to lose fat, it will take a lot more work than someone like an ectomorph because they're obviously like born to be like naturally go like that. So yeah, the different sports for different somatotyping. So mesomorphs are more like boxers, endomorphs would be like sumo wrestlers, and ectomorphs more like marathon, long distance runners. So obviously, like from this, you can affect your like body composition and shape. Because body composition is like your it's made up of like all your different like so it would be like your fat percentage, muscle percentage, your bone percentage, density, stuff like that. That's all your composition of your whole body. Then so that's that. Then lean body mass. It's the weight of the body, not the fat. So it's like it's a measure of like how do you do that right? Yeah. And lean body mass. So it's a measure of the percentage of muscle and bone a person has. If a person has a lean body mass, they will tend to have a higher metabolism, meaning they can stay a healthy weight much easier. So obviously like an ectomorph or if it's lean body mass like a mesomorph would be quite lean. Going back to the somatotypes again, an athlete will want to be lean so they could have as much muscle mass rather than fat mass, because fat mass is quite useless. Rather, like in terms of if you were rather have mass, you'd want more muscular mass because it's more helpful for everyone's. It's more helpful for everyone to use rather than having just a fatty body. So, a lean footballer, they're more likely to be quite quick and strong and powerful, rather than someone that is quite on the tubby side and then can't really jump as well, or they're not as powerful, strong, fast. So obviously lean body mass is quite important in a lot of sports. So if they are like that, the best way to measure like how lean someone is is by the bioelectrical impedance. So it's the thing that goes the current through one side into the other side, and it measures how long it takes to go through that, and then it can tell the body composition, well, lean body mass from that, because obviously fat would trap the currents more. So yeah. So with that, it's like you lie down on the floor, and then you've got like these electrical currents on your hands, toes, stuff, and they send a current through. It's you can't feel it or anything, and then it just goes through, and then it times how long it takes to go through your body, and then obviously you can work out from that the time it takes for it to go through would be like the percentage of like the amount of fat they'd have in their body, stuff like that. But the longer it takes, the more fat mass there is in the body. So obviously it's quite important to be quite lean if you're an athlete. And the body fat percentage is percentage made of body fat. So there's a couple of different techniques to work with this. The bioelectrical impedance, or you could use skin fold caliper test. So I'll explain what the bioelectrical impedance is. The skin fold caliper though is to get these calipers, you pinch your skin, make sure it's just the skin, and then obviously put the calipers on there, and it will give you a reading, and then you like add up. So you can do a number of different areas, like 7 different areas is one that we used, I think, earlier this year. So you just pinch the skin, put them on there, and then it will read out a number on that part of the skin. Then for all 7 areas, you add them up together and divide them by what was it? Number, and then that will give you your overall body mass, your body fat percentage. It's not as accurate, this test, because it's a lot based on like human. Like, so obviously you're doing the tests, so you either have to be really experienced with performing the tests so that it is accurate, or you'd have to what's it called? Oh, what was I going to say? So you have to be either, or it's wouldn't be as accurate because there's a lot of room for error with humans doing it. And obviously the bioelectrical impedance test is it's accurate, precise, but it's a bit more expensive than skin fold calipers. Yeah. So, and with this information of your body fat percentage, it will help athletes and performers, because they'll be they can then see what percentage fat they are, and the same with the lean mass above. They can work out from that what their percentage is, and then they can see what the ideal for that would be for their sport or position in that sport. So then they can work, exercise, try and get in that ideal body shape to try and be the best at the sport you can be, so you can perform to your maximum capabilities. So, for like example, a boxer, if they're like got to make a certain weight and then they have a higher percentage of fat, they can lose that fat and then put on muscle. If you get what I mean, like it will help with the effectiveness of the sport. Then hydrodensitometry is a technique of measuring the weight underwater. So obviously when you go underwater, the water levels rise. So you obviously measure their weight, well, their dry weight, not when they're wet, because then that'll be unfair. But and then they sit in this like special seat in not much clothing, well, as minimal as possible. So breathe out all their lung airs, lowered into the container, and then until the whole body is then immersed. Then they stay completely still. whilst their weight is then measured. It's repeated a few times to make sure it's accurate. To make sure it's accurate, and then you'd obviously get the average from it. And then it's an expensive test, so it might not be recommended. It requires an administrator to lower you into the water, and then there it obviously costs more money. It's quite an expensive test to run. But then it helps to identify the body composition, so then they can find out what they want to get from that. So if they are quite fatty, again, like I said, the ones above, it's like they can lose that fat, put on muscle mass instead. And then body weight is tends to be measured in kilograms. It also measured in pounds, stones, but and obviously I've got other measurements, but also kilograms. So it tells us how much they weigh in their mass. It's not their body composition, because obviously someone that may be really heavy might not be fat, it might just be muscle, because obviously muscle weighs more than fat. People that weigh too much put themselves at risk of joint damage, because their increased weight is putting the pressure on the joints, because obviously they weigh more on the joint, and it just, so that's a bad thing with being a heavyweight. Yeah, so it's not very accurate. When you measure body weight, it doesn't really say much, because obviously a bodybuilder is going to weigh a lot, but it doesn't mean he's unhealthy or fat. It means he's just got a lot of muscle mass, because muscle weighs more than fat. But then someone who is obese and unhealthy, they might weigh a lot, but might weigh a lot as well. But it's just, so it doesn't really say much between that, because you don't really know the body composition, don't know much. All you know is their mass. It's not really ideal for that. And then obviously people that weigh a bit more because of higher fat percentage, or still suffer from painful joints and also other health problems. And then if they weigh, someone's way too low, they can be more tired. Their immune system can function as well, or they could just be start to get malnourished, which isn't good, because then you're ill, and then you could get a major illness, especially if your immune system's not functioning properly. Some sports are based on body mass, body weight. Like boxing, you've got to have a weigh-in, and you've got to be in different categories for each weight classes. So this gives, this obviously makes it a bit more fair, because it wouldn't really be fair, someone that's 6'6" weighs 200 kg, you're going up against someone it just wouldn't be fair. So they do the weight classes to make sure it's as fair a fight as they can make it. Then indirect. Okay. So with this calorimetry. So they sit in a room, temperature of the air is constant, there's a tube of water, has a thermometer in it, measuring temperature of the entry and the exit points. Then, so however much the temperature is increased, is measured the amount of calories burnt whilst they perform in there. If you get me? So because then it's useful for athletes because it shows them how well they conserve energy and how much energy they burn during activity, which was then effective for finding out like how much calories they burn, so then you can find out more like how you can put on weight if you want to get gains, or if you want to cut down, lose weight. You can learn a lot from the amount of energy burn. Then indirect calorimetry is just a measure of the air that's breathed in and out. So we can determine like how much oxygen is inhaled and how much carbon dioxide is exhaled. Those two, like with carbohydrates, fats, and protein. From that, then we can figure out the heat production and then the amount of calories that burned. It's not as accurate as the direct calorimetry. It's cheaper though, and still measure the same amount of calories. It will still measure the same amount of calories that's burned. So if you don't have access to a direct calorimetry, you can do this to find out the energy consumption or energy you burn. Then energy balance. So this part, so for the balance, it's all about like the intake of energy and then the what was I going to say? What's the word? So intake and then the outtake. So if you want to lose weight, obviously you've got to burn more calories than you put in you. So yeah, but it's like the more we burn, the more we've got to put in as well. Because for energy, because if not, then we'll just get tired, lethargic, all that, and it's just unhealthy. So if the energy balance is too high, which is the more energy in and out, then that person's more likely to get overweight and obese, because the energy put in isn't being burnt out, so they're just keeping it stored in the body, which then would turn to fat, and it's then puts on weight because it's more excess storage that you're keeping. And then if it's the opposite, so more energy lost than in, like I said, you get tired, you'll be tired out, it's just unhealthy. Athletes always have to focus on their weights and keep tabs of what they're eating, and they have to take on strict diet plans the amount of percentage of protein and carbs they have a day. So it's obviously very important for them to have the right balance of food to the perfect amount so they can perform at the stage that they do, elite. They need to perform the best they can. So from that, it's so you've got to keep tabs, because if they didn't keep tabs, they could forget how much weight they've put on, how much weight they've lost, and it's just, they wouldn't really, you want to keep your ideal amount. So if you want to so that's that, and then so with it, it's all it's obviously with the energy balance. So if you want to put gains on, you've got more calories. It's obviously carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, they give the most energy, so, and fats as well, and all that. So yeah, and the basal metabolism is just all it is the amount of calories a person needs to survive. if they weren't moving just still, the amount of calories they need to stay alive. That's the base of metabolism. Everyone obviously differs because weight, age, stuff like that, height, and then so age. When we age, our muscle mass decreases, and then our muscles consume a lot of calories. So we don't really need as many calories when we get like older. If you maintain a decent amount level of exercise when you're older, more likely to acquire more calories than someone else, but it's the same with any age. Then gender, men burn more calories because on average women weigh less. And, heavier people tend to burn more calories, so men obviously need to put on more calories a day, which is why we have to put on 2,500 and they have to put on 2,000 a day roughly on average. Men averagely again tend to have bigger muscles, and muscles obviously burns more calories because obviously more energy to be used in the muscles. Men also like have higher body fat percentage on average. Wait, no, we don't. We got 15% body fat percentage on average. Women have 27% body fat percentage. So yeah, that's because if a woman was to be pregnant and then she had a less fat percentage, then there wasn't really much protection for the fetus, and it could just get hurt quite easily. Fat obviously gives the most nutrients, well, carries nutrients. So, and because like women already have a high percentage of fat, like they don't need as much of it. So on average, again, men have a higher, because of larger muscles and larger calories, way more. Obviously, they need more calories than the girls. And obviously, some girls will. Well, they'll be the anomaly because obviously some people are taller, younger, heavier, more muscular. Like, there's obviously going to be the anomaly. Then obviously climate affects calories because if you're more cold, you burn more calories in order for your body to keep warm. So the hotter it is, the more you sweat. But that also burns calories. So it's like a bit in the middle ground is like where you don't burn as much calories, but then if it's really hot, if it's really cold, then you burn loads of calories. So yeah. So like with it, it's like someone who already has a lot of fat on their body